Welcome to my channel. Try to hear the latest story.
The hostess smiled politely and gestured toward the far corner of the restaurant. "Right this way, Mr. Ellis." I nodded, already feeling the familiar lift that comes with a night you've planned for weeks. Tonight was supposed to be simple but meaningful. Our third anniversary. The first one since I'd finally landed the senior architect position at the firm. I'd booked the lantern room, small, candlelit, the kind of place where conversations feel private even when the room is full. My suit was new, charcoal gray, tailored just enough to feel like armor without screaming for attention. Beside me, Lauren adjusted the thin strap of her navy dress and gave my hand a quick squeeze. We were maybe 10 steps from the table when I heard her breath catch. "Ethan," the name came out soft, almost reverent. I followed her gaze. A man stood near the bar, mid-30s, dark hair swept back, sleeves rolled to the forearms in that deliberate casual way some guys perfect. He turned at the sound of his name and his whole face changed. Surprise, then slow recognition, then something warmer. "Lauren." He said it like he'd been waiting to say it again for years. She froze for half a second, then stepped forward, pulling her hand from mine without seeming to notice she'd done it. "I can't believe you're here." He laughed low and easy. "Small world. You still live in the city? Still here?" she said, and there was a brightness in her voice I hadn't heard in a long time. Not directed at me. Anyway, that I cleared my throat and moved up beside her. "Hi, I'm Caleb, Lauren's husband." Ethan's eyes flicked to me, assessed, then returned to her. "Husband, right? Congratulations." The words sounded polite but hollow, like he was reading a line he didn't quite believe. I extended my hand. He shook it once, brief, loose. Then he looked back at Lauren. "You look incredible. Same as always." She blushed, actually blushed. "You haven't changed either." I felt the air shift, the way it does when someone else suddenly becomes the center of gravity in a room that was supposed to belong to you. The hostess was still waiting, menu tucked under her arm, watching the exchange with professional neutrality. Lauren turned to me, eyes bright, almost apologetic. "Caleb, this is Ethan. He was, well, the one from grad school. The one." She'd mentioned him exactly twice in 3 years of marriage. Once when we were packing old boxes and she'd laughed about a disastrous camping trip. Once, late at night after too much wine, when she'd admitted he was the reason she'd spent her entire senior year of college crying in library stairwells. Toxic, she'd called him then. Chaotic. I was young and stupid. Right now, she didn't look like someone remembering chaos. She looked like someone remembering sunlight. "Nice to meet you," I said, even though it wasn't. Ethan nodded at me again, then spoke directly to Lauren. "I'm in town for 3 days. Conference at the convention center." Crazy coincidence. "Huh? Yeah," she breathed. "Crazy." I waited for her to say something about the anniversary, about the reservation, about us. Instead, she asked, "Are you here alone?" "Meeting a colleague in a bit. He's late as usual." Ethan shrugged, then glanced toward the patio doors. "It's quieter out there. Mind if we catch up for a minute? Just to say hi properly." Lauren hesitated only for a heartbeat, then looked at me. "Caleb, would you mind grabbing the table? I'll be right there. Literally 2 minutes." 2 minutes. I felt the word land like a stone in my stomach. Not because of the time, but because of the way she said it. Not asking, informing. The hostess was still standing there, patient, waiting for direction. I looked at Lauren. Really looked. Her cheeks were flushed, pupils wide. The way they get when she's excited about something she doesn't want to admit is exciting. I'd seen that look when we won concert tickets last summer. I'd seen it when she got the call about her promotion. I had not seen it directed at me in months. Sure, I said. My voice sounded distant, like it belonged to someone else. Take your time. She gave me a quick, distracted smile, grateful, not guilty, and turned back to Ethan. Outside? It's too loud in here. They walked toward the glass doors together, her heels clicking on the hardwood. His hand hovering an inch from the small of her back. I followed the hostess to the table. It was perfect. Corner booth. Low candle. View of the river. She set down the menus, wished us a pleasant evening, and disappeared. I sat alone. The chair opposite me stayed empty. I opened the wine list, closed it, opened it again. Stared at the words without reading them. Every few minutes I glanced toward the patio. Through the glass I could see their silhouettes against the city lights. Her head tilted toward him. His shoulders relaxed. At one point she laughed. Head back. Real laugh, the one that used to make my chest feel warm. Now it felt like someone had opened a window in Winter Point. 10 minutes became 15. 15 became 25. A waiter stopped by. May I get you started with anything, sir? I looked at the empty seat. I'll wait for my wife. He nodded and left. At 32 minutes I stood up, walked to the glass doors, and stepped outside. The air was cooler than inside. They were at a high-top table near the railing. 2 glasses of red wine sat between them. Lauren's back was to me. Ethan saw me first. Hey, he said, friendly enough. Join us. Lauren turned, startled. Caleb, I was just coming in. Been a while, I said. She winced. I know. I'm sorry. We got talking and... She gestured vaguely, as if the conversation itself had kidnapped her. Ethan lifted his glass. Old memories. You know how it goes. I didn't answer. I looked at Lauren. Our table's ready. She glanced at Ethan, then back at me. 5 more minutes? We're in the middle of something. Something. I felt the words slice clean through the last thread of patience I'd been holding. Not anger, not yet. Just clarity. Sharp, cold, surgical clarity. No, I said quietly. I don't think so. Her eyebrows went up. What? I'm not waiting anymore tonight. Enjoy your conversation. I turned to Ethan. Good seeing you. Take care. I walked back inside, past our empty table, past the hostess who looked confused, past the bar, through the heavy front door, and into the night. I didn't slam anything. I didn't shout. I simply left. The drive home was quiet. No music. Just the sound of tires on wet pavement and my own breathing, steady for the first time in what felt like years. When I got to the apartment, I didn't hesitate. I pulled 2 large suitcases from the hall closet. The ones we'd bought for our honeymoon trip we never took because she said she hated flying. I opened them on the living room floor. I started with clothes. My side of the closet first. Shirts, jackets, jeans, shoes. No folding, just efficient stacking. Then the dresser, socks, underwear, workout gear. The bathroom next. Toothbrush, razor, face wash, the prescription bottle I'd been meaning to refill. I left her half of everything untouched. In the office nook, I unplugged my desktop, coiled the cables, packed the monitor. I took the external hard drive with all my project files, my drafting tablet, my noise-canceling headphones. I left the shared printer. I left the framed photo of us at the lake. The router was in my name. I unplugged it, wrapped the power cord around it, and set it on top of the second suitcase. I moved through the space like I was erasing myself from it. By the time I finished, the living room looked asymmetrical. My absence carved out in negative space. The couch we'd argued over buying looked suddenly too big for one person. The bookshelf on my side was half empty. The kitchen counter held only her coffee mug. I found a notepad on the fridge. Architectural sketch paper still in the pad I'd used for quick ideas. I tore off a fresh sheet. I thought about writing more. Explaining. listing every time I'd swallowed a comment, every time I told myself her distance was temporary, every time I'd convinced myself that wanting basic consideration made me difficult. But in the end, I wrote 9 words. You said don't start anything, so I finished it. That I placed the note on the kitchen island, set my house key beside it, and walked out. That I locked the door behind me. The click sounded final. I drove to the highway and checked into a mid-range hotel 20 minutes outside the city. Not luxury, not cheap, just neutral. I carried the suitcases up, dropped them inside the door, and sat on the edge of the BD.my phone stayed silent for almost an hour. Then it started. First text at 10:14 p.m. Where are you? I'm at the table. Then at 10:31, Caleb seriously answer me. Then a call. I let it ring. Voicemail. I didn't listen yet. Another call at 10:49. Another at 11:03. At 11:22 she sent a string of messages. I'm outside now. The waiter said you left? This isn't funny. Pick up the phone. I turned the ringer off and set the phone face down on the nightstand. I ordered room service, burger, fries, a beer, and ate while staring at the muted television. The silence in the room was enormous, peaceful. I slept better than I had in months. The next morning I woke to 31 missed calls and 47 unread messages. I didn't read them. That I showered, dressed for work, and checked out. Over the next 3 days, I stayed with my brother in the suburbs while I searched for a new place. I transferred money to cover my half of the current month's rent and utilities. I emailed the landlord to notify him I would not be renewing. I forwarded important mail to a P.O. box. Lauren tried everything. First the anger. You're being dramatic. It was one conversation. Then the guilt. I didn't mean to hurt you. I was just surprised. Then the tears. I'm scared. I don't know how to do this alone. I answered once via email because she kept calling from different numbers. I wrote, I'm safe. I've moved out. We can handle lease stuff through email or lawyers if necessary. Take care. I blocked her number after that. The financial reality hit her fast. I'd been covering 65% of our bills since we moved in together. She made good money as a marketing coordinator, but not enough for the rent, the car payment, the streaming services, the gym membership, the weekly deliveries she loved. Without me, the numbers didn't work. She tried to stay in the apartment for 2 months. Then the eviction warning came. She broke the lease, lost the deposit, moved back in with her parents in the next county over. I heard bits and pieces through mutual friends who didn't know whose side to take. She'd tried to reach out to Ethan again. He'd been polite but firm. I'm seeing someone seriously now. Take care. Blocked. 4 months later, I had my own place. A 1-bedroom loft downtown, high ceilings, lots of natural light, no shared history. I bought new furniture. I hung prints I'd always liked, but she'd called too minimalist. I slept with the windows open. I worked late because I wanted to, not because I was avoiding going home. Then, on a Thursday morning, she found me. I was waiting for my coffee at the little shop across from the office. Black, no sugar. The way I'd started drinking it when I stopped trying to please everyone. Caleb, I turned. She looked smaller somehow. Hair in a low ponytail, no makeup, hoodie instead of the polished outfits she used to wear. Eyes red-rimmed, like she hadn't slept well in weeks. Hi, I said, neutral, calm. Can we talk? Just for a minute. I glanced at my watch. I have a meeting at 9. Please. I drove an hour to be here. I sighed. Walk with me to the building. You've got until the elevator. We stepped outside. The October air was sharp. She started fast. I messed up. I know I did. Seeing Ethan. It threw me. I got caught up in nostalgia. It was stupid. He wasn't even interested. I threw away everything for a fantasy. I kept walking. I miss you, she said. I miss our life. The apartment. The routines. You were my person. I didn't answer. She reached for my sleeve. I stepped aside smoothly. I'm living with my parents again, she whispered. It's awful. They treat me like I'm 20. I sleep in my old room. I hate it. I stopped at the crosswalk. What do you want, Lauren? She swallowed. I want another chance. Coffee. A real conversation. I'll do whatever it takes to prove I can be better. I swear. I looked at her. Really looked. I saw regret. I saw fear. I saw the same quiet entitlement that had always been there, waiting under the surface. She still believed she could negotiate her way back into my life on her terms. I spoke quietly. You told me not to start anything that night. You told me to wait, to sit, to be patient while you got your moment. Her eyes filled. I listened, I said. I didn't start anything. I turned toward the building. Caleb, I didn't stop. I'm finished. I walked through the revolving door, across the lobby, past security, into the elevator. As the doors closed, I let out a breath I hadn't realized I'd been holding. The car was quiet, clean, mine. For the first time in years, I knew exactly where my table was. And I was already sitting at it.